What is going on, guys? Rewinds here, and in this video I'm going to be bringing you guys my review for Boruto 2 Blue Vortex Manga chapter number 29. So we have a good bit to talk about in this month's review. This was a very action heavy chapter mixed in with good little bits of story in certain parts of the chapter. So I feel like we got a good mix of both worlds in this month's chapter, and that's something I definitely did enjoy. So we're going to break that down. We're going to talk about what I liked, what I didn't like, and go from there. So first things first, the chapter itself is titled Pest Control. So this will make sense, especially when you think about all the Mamushis that are, spread out throughout the village right now, and how many of them are being taken care of or about to be taken care of. So basically these Mamushi are like pests, and to Mamushi, all the people that are taking him out are like pests, so it goes both ways. The cover for this month's chapter is absolute fire. It's a solo cover of Boruto, and I think it's a top 5 cover for Boruto 2 Blue Vortex. It could even be the best cover, to be honest. It really is, in my opinion, that good. I'm just saying top 5 as a conservative guess because I haven't really checked back on a lot of the other ones, and a couple good ones are coming to mind, but I would have to reference back before I can say that this one's the best one. But it's definitely up there. Definitely up there. Let me know if you guys like the cover as well. So this chapter kicks off with Boruto and Momoshiki continuing that chat that was cut off way back in chapter 25, I believe. And Boruto is now serious in this deal he's making, and Momoshiki realizes that because if Boruto was lying, Momoshiki would know because they have linked thoughts. So Boruto can't really deceive him. So Boruto's being pretty much straight up and honest about, hey, you can take over my body if, you help me take down these Shinjus. So taking down these divine tree beings is Boruto's priority, and he feels like the chances increase if he has Momoshiki's help. So generally, Momoshiki's mentality was that he would want to kill Boruto and just disappear off, just be tired of living, because he's living in Boruto's body, and he's not really able to do anything because he can't really take over, and at the same time, it's just boring him out of his mind seeing Boruto live his life, even if Boruto is on the run and everything like that. So pretty much, generally he would just want to disappear, but if he got to take over the body, it would be a whole different story. And in general, the Shinju are, a threat to both Boruto and Momoshiki, so Momoshiki sees a common line of interest there. So Momoshiki also pretty much is able to figure out and say that Boruto's plan in general is for Kawaki to come and kill him after Momoshiki takes over. But Momoshiki says in regards to that he'll finish off Kawaki first when he's free. So interesting line there, because it makes you wonder if Momoshiki just even wants Kawaki as, a fruit anymore to really get to like another level for the Otsutsuki, or if, like, let's say Code is even gonna do that. But he made it sound like he just hates Kawaki and he just wants to take him out. So pretty much that's what probably is gonna be something Momoshiki's gonna attempt if we get to that point where Jura is taken down and the rest of the Shinju are taken down, and then we have a Momoshiki or a Borushiki versus Kawaki confrontation. So it'll be interesting to see if we ever get to that point what's going to happen between those two fighting. So moving on from that, Momoshiki does end up agreeing on this deal, and he tells Boruto to use the karma or whatever else he likes and to destroy their foes. So common foes right there, and Boruto pretty much has free access now and permission for Momoshiki to use whatever. We then get back to the present where Boruto has the karma activated and hits Mamushi with a Rasengan. He also hits one of the Mamushi's eyes with Shuriken, which is, targeting the right area based off of what Koji said. And he then also takes a bunch of them out by using a sword attack where it's pretty much he goes in a circle. It looks pretty cool. I don't really have a name for it, but cool panel for sure. Definitely action just to kick off this chapter. Looks really good, and I feel like this is one of those episodes where they could go really crazy in the anime as well. So Shikamaru then tells Boruto to check his 4 o'clock, and Boruto does that by activating the Byakugan, and that's like one of the biggest moments in the chapter, seeing Boruto use that, even though we do see him with the Byakugan anytime he uses the karma, technically speaking, like even if you look at the end of the anime, but we've never seen him actually use the Byakugan at his own will. So this is cool to see. Because another thing we got to keep in mind, and I'll just make it clear for anyone who might have not gotten it, is that this is Momoshiki's Byakugan. So a lot of people are out here wondering, oh, does Boruto even have the Jogan anymore? Is that going to be a thing? Really, I feel like personally, the Jogan is going to be a thing, and it's still going to happen towards the end of the story. But I don't think as of right now we're going to be getting that in this arc. But I feel like if you want to have hope for it still, you still can. It is a little, I'm sure some people are disappointed that the Jogan's not here in this chapter, but this is Momoshiki's power, and that's the Byakugan. So we're going to roll with that, and hopefully, down the line, the Jogan does come Boruto's way. I'd like to see that too. So after he activates the Byakugan, he sees them, he does this cool shuriken technique where he kind of collides them to send one over their way, and then he uses the flying Raijin to go over to them. And honestly, this is just Boruto aura farming at this point, which he's been doing throughout all of 2 Blue Vortex anyway, and honestly, it's pretty damn cool to see. So if you're a fan of that, it's definitely pretty present in this chapter from him and Kawaki. So these ones he uses the flying Raijin to get to, he actually takes out with using a massive Rasengan. And again, Ikimoto's going crazy on these action panels. These will look really good if they animate it right. So fingers crossed for that. Inojin is telling Shikamaru that there are some guys already in Area C and Area D, and Team 10 is pretty much told to stand by in Area D now, and Boruto is told to hurry over to Area D. Meanwhile, we see a couple of the Mamushi discussing dwindling numbers in a forest area, which ends up being Area C. Kawaki actually pulls up on him by surprise and uses his dojutsu and takes out one of the Mamushi's eyes in brutal fashion. He then is seen flying over in an aura farming panel. Again, you guys got to see it. That's probably one of the most, if not the most, aura farming panel in this chapter. Kawaki is just straight flexing on them. So, and Kawaki says he's in Area C, and that now the Mamushi extermination shall now commence. Honestly, really cool lines too to make an entrance like that. I thought that was pretty cool. I was hyped to see that. He then brutally proceeds to take a couple of them out. Again, it's another scene. If it's not censored in the anime, it should go crazy. That's definitely something to look forward to as well. Boruto and Kawaki were definitely both really in their bag this chapter, and that's definitely one of those things where you sit back and you're just envisioning the scenes possibly done right in the anime. And I can't stress that enough, because Boruto 2 Blue Vortex overall, it has some moments, that really, if we get a good adaptation of the anime this time around, similar to, let's say, how Bleach is doing at the moment, we could be in really, really good hands. And I don't know when we'll get the anime for sure, but it definitely won't be 2026. Like, it won't return in 2026. Maybe we get an announcement in 2026, but if, let's say, it's 2027 or on, hopefully it gets the Bleach treatment, or even Black Clover, because Black Clover is also coming back in pretty good quality looking fashion. So yeah, but anyway, back to the chapter. So Kawaki also ends up bringing out his big rod and takes out some more of them. He ends up ultimately completing the extermination in Area C's north area, and he reports that to Shikamaru as well. Mamushi pretty much reacts to this by planning on making more and more and just continuing to spread out. Now, this is where we get to a little bit more of the dialogue heavy part of the chapter. We get to Kobu, who is now questioning Mitsuki and pretty much saying that there was nothing wrong with the cuffs, but is trying to find out how Boruto got let go, because Mitsuki would need a code to the cuffs to let him out. Meanwhile, Konohamaru is outside the room and he's thinking only him, Ibiki, and Shikamaru know the code. So if Mitsuki ends up complying at all, Shikamaru might be outed. So Konohamaru then tells Nishi to let him in because he forgot to tell Kubo something. And meanwhile, Sai is hearing about the attack going on in the village through the sensor unit and asks to be connected to Shikamaru. Shikamaru is now telling Kawaki to go to the south of Sector A. So Kawaki is pretty much going to be on standby in that area now. He then picks up Sai's message and asks Sai for details. Shikamaru pretty much tells him if things escalate to have Mitsuki be released on Hokage's orders. So Shikamaru right there using his authority. The current status update also is Mamushi has now multiplied to about 50. So that's above the ideal point because 50 is a lot. We ideally want them to be within that 20 to 30 range based off of what Koji said as the sweet spot to take them out. So 50, I mean, they might go on a rampage. They might be really a lot dumber just because 50 is a lot. Shikamaru then tells Boruto to link up with Team 10 in Sector D due to the high volume there. So Boruto's making his way there. Kobu is pretty much asking Mitsuki how he knew the release code, but right when he's questioning him more, Konohamaru ends up entering the room, and Konohamaru ends up saying the code to the cuffs was actually never set and that he himself is at fault, and he's saying that the impact may have opened them because they were never locked to begin with. So Konohamaru's trying to take the fall here, and honestly this is a cool little moment for his character just because he's sacrificing a dream of his in a way, even if he's just, setting himself back and not really sacrificing it, but he wants to be Hokage. So him wanting to be Hokage and coming up with like a crucial error like this doesn't really look good in his standing. So for him to do that just for Shikamaru to be able to stay in the position, which is, the most ideal thing for this battle and probably going forward strategy wise, this is a pretty cool moment by Konohamaru to try taking the hit. But through that communication they have through Inojin's jutsu, Mitsuki's asking Konohamaru what he's trying to do, and Konohamaru tells him he knows what happened and that they got to keep the truth hidden so Shikamaru doesn't get removed from his position. So that's the ultimate goal, and that's kind of where Konohamaru is standing in that. So, but unfortunately for Konohamaru, Kobu ends up calling him inept at lying, which is true. Like, if you saw Konohamaru was a little nervous when he was doing it, I mean, that's never been, more of his specialty of a character. Konohamaru's definitely leaned more towards that Naruto style of character, Like, he's smart, of course, but he's not, like, a Shikamaru level of smart. Or he's not really super slick, per se, either when it comes to stuff like this, because this is just not his, like, specialty. Like, maybe someone like Sai could have maybe gotten off with this a little easier, for example. But regardless, he tried, but Kobu's calling some BS here, and he asks who Konohamaru is protecting, and Konohamaru doesn't really give him a name reply. He just says, "I'm offended you think I'm lying." Kobu then ends up asking to summon the Hokage, and that's a big setup for next chapter because that could mess up this battle over here, because Shikamaru is helping out in that battle, and for him to pull up and be interrogated now by Kobu, it could be one of the worst things possible, because that might be what shifts the battle a little bit in Mamushi's favor, because Shikamaru is going to be distracted dealing with this guy here. And Kobu is definitely a very smart character. You can tell he's on that intellect level where someone like Shikamaru might be. He's just very sharp, and he can tell things like when someone's lying, and he's just very suspicious of stuff. So you can tell that he's a pretty smart dude. I mean, he just caught Konohamaru lying as well. So it's going to be very interesting to see what this, battle of minds is going to be in next month's chapter, how Shikamaru is going to get out of that, or what kind of maybe excuse is going to come up. Like, let's say maybe their building is somehow attacked, or just the situation heats up so much that Mitsuki has to be released. A lot can, happen in next month's chapter when we kick off 2026. So it'll be interesting to see for sure. Pretty much, though, to end off the chapter, because now we're near the end, Himawari ends up attacking a Mamushi with a kick. The others, being Shikadai and Chocho, are also with her, and Shikadai ends up getting some of them with his new jutsu called Casting Net Shadow Paralysis. This seems to have a lot of free range mobility in comparison to some of the previous shadow jutsus we've seen. So it was pretty cool to see him come through with the new jutsu. Good little moment there for him. And that did end up stopping some of them, but not all of them. So Chocho ends up actually getting a couple of the others with a big hand. And that leads us towards the last page where Inojin's saying, nice, we're on a roll. But Koji is pretty much looking on in silence, not saying anything, with a straight face. And he's pretty much has that look where you would think there's worse to come, or that he just doesn't feel super confident yet in what's happening. And because of that, I feel like it's not a bad guess to possibly think that someone might die in this arc in some of the coming chapters. I really think that may be a possibility because simply because of how he's reacting, and we know Koji's the kind of guy who is pretty much trying to lead them to the path that would give them the most likelihood of defeating Jura and getting past these divine tree creatures. But at the same time, we know based off of what happened in the Sand arc that he isn't afraid to sacrifice anybody if it's for what he sees as the greater good. We got to see that happen to Yodo in last arc, and now we're gonna possibly see it happen to someone else. Because at the end of the day, you can also reference that one line back that he had when he said that to Inojin, it'd be pretty important to keep Himawari and Ada alive, don't you think, no matter what the cost. And that was kind of, a little bit of a sus line, because although what he's saying is true, what if he's hinting at Inojin potentially dying, let's say, but this time for real, because I think he could have maybe been telling him that line, let's say because Inojin might make a sacrifice, let's say, to save Himawari again, but this time actually stay down. Or this could be someone else closer on the battlefield dying, like let's say Chocho or Shikadai. And I'm gonna be honest, guys, I'm not really trying to see Shikadai go, because I really like Shikadai as a character. I liked how the anime handled him, and honestly, Inojin was cool too. I think Inojin definitely has started earning some more respect, I feel like, from me and from a lot of the other fans that are reading the chapters the last couple months. So I feel like Shikadai or even Inojin going would be kind of sad at this point. Chocho, I feel like she has cool abilities and stuff, but characterization wise, I felt like at least in the anime she was annoying in a lot of parts. She did have her cool moments, but they got to do something with her here in Two Blue Vortex to maybe change that. But we'll see. I don't know. Anybody's really open though to possibly die this arc, and if something crazy like that happens, I hope that they end up making the right choice and don't kill off someone too soon, and they also write it well as well. So we'll see what happens with that. Another guess as well is that the last time Koji had, his presence vision, he did see himself on there, and he saw Inojin on there. And if you look at some of the expressions, it led to some people to speculate that maybe Code ended up finding their location and ended up attacking them at some point while this plan is going on. Although that might be a reach, I do think it's a possibility. So let's definitely consider that as well. And we'll see where things head from there. But all in all, this chapter was really good. It was one of the best chapters I think we've had in the latter part of 2025's year of Boruto chapters. So I feel like the best chapters this year though were like the end of the Sand arc, especially that one where Sarada got the manga kill going. That was to me one of the best chapters of the year, if not the best chapter of the year. That one was fire because we ended that with Boruto also making that crazy entrance at the end there to save Konohamaru as well. So I think that one might be up there for me. Maybe I'll make a video on the best chapters of Boruto in 2025 or something like that. And yeah, that should be that. But this month's chapter, 8.5 to a 9 out of 10. Better than the last 3 months, at least I'd say. And which, by the way, were all good too if you've seen my previous reviews. But this month definitely picked it up. This was a very good balanced chapter when it pertained to action actually progressing. We got a mix of the stuff with Momoshiki as well, like making that deal. We actually got to see that. We got to see Boruto go crazy on action and activates the Byakugan. We got to see the massive Rasengan. We got to see him flexing the flying Raijin. We got to see Kawaki pull up an Aura Farm. We got to see him exterminate the Mamushi in Area C. He used a rod. He used his dojutsu. He brutally took some of them out. So from that perspective, definitely we got a lot this month, no doubt. We definitely got a lot from the action side of things, and then you progress story wise too, with Shikamaru continuing to plan out details, and you know, the stuff at the end with Team 10 hinting with what Koji's doing, as well as all the stuff with Kubo. So all in all, I really enjoyed it. I hope you guys did as well. I think it was a good way to end off 2025 for Boruto. Let me know what you think though of the chapter in the comments below. But that's going to wrap up this one. If you guys did enjoy the video, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel if you guys are new. And as always, I hope you guys have a good day or night whenever you guys are watching this video. I'm Rewinds, and I'm out.